Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of Second Timothy, and we're in chapter 1, verses 15 through 18. We're going to finish chapter 1. And of course, this is written by Paul to Timothy shortly before his execution in Rome, and he's in jail in Rome, and he's in real jail. He's under house arrest. He's in the Mamertine prison in Rome. And and he has just in verses 3 through 14 that we talked about last time, he's just laid it out what he's writing about, that Timothy's worried about Timothy, and that Timothy is not the man he needs to be in this moment, and that he needs him to get his act together, and how much he loves him, and what's at stake in this moment. In verses 15 through 18, he this is the first time in the letter, and he does this at the end as well, when he lets Timothy know and lets us know just how hard things are for him at this moment. Chapter 1, verse 15. You are aware of the fact that all who are in Asia turned away from me, among whom are Phygellus, actually in the text, and Hermogenes. The Lord grant mercy to the house of Onesiphorus, for he often refreshed me, and was not ashamed of my chains. But when he was in Rome, he eagerly searched for me and found me. The Lord grant him to find mercy from the Lord on that day. And you know very well what services he rendered at Ephesus. Okay, Paul is feeling alone, and people have deserted him. And he'll say this again at the end of the letter. Everyone in Asia turned away from me. That's not true, although it feels that way, and it's generally true. But we know from the text itself that there are people that still care about him in Asia, like Onesiphorus, who he's going to mention in this very text. Also, he sends greetings to Priscilla and Aquila at the end of Second Timothy, and so we know they're there. And if they have a falling out, Paul would. They didn't have a falling out. I mean, there are people in Asia, the province of Asia, um, who have not abandoned Paul, but it seems that in this moment, people are deserting him. They're just scattering away from him because he's radioactive right now. He's public enemy number one right now, and he's in this terrible prison there in Rome. We do not know anything at all about Phygellus and Hermogenes, other than this passage. We have no information on either one of them. Onesiphorus, we learn a lot about Onesiphorus just from this passage. He went to Rome and looked Paul up and searched for him until he could find him. He evidently came to Rome with gifts or something that Paul needed, supplies, and he had to search until he could find Paul. Rome was almost certainly the largest city on earth at the time, more than 1 million people. No phone directories, no internet, no way to track anybody down. You just have to make your best guess and ask around and 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 use up a lot of shoe leather. But he did, so that he could find the apostle Paul, and he took care of the apostle Paul's needs. The tradition that in ancient church history is that Onesiphorus also died in this same persecution. There's no way of knowing that for sure, but it's highly likely that something like that did happen, and may have already happened or was shortly to happen. But the kindness that he gave to the apostle Paul, and evidently Timothy as well, there in Ephesus, is well remembered, and we remember it to this day because Paul wrote about it. So times are rough. I mean, it's rough, and He feels like no one is supporting him. And of course, Asia is where Timothy's preaching. Ephesus is in Asia. And is he worried about whether or not he includes Timothy in this group? Um, I'm sure he thinks that might be a possibility, which is why he's writing the letter. Okay, we're going to pick up with chapter 2 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.